And welcome to Spew the Snews. I'm your host, Zack Owens, joined by the sports dummy, Mark Owens. And we're joined by our third host, I guess you could call it, analyst, whatever you want to call it, in Nathan Oliver. Nate, say hello.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be on the show.
First show for Nate. So
It's a podcast of only people with last names that begin with O.
That's right. We are alphabetically exclusive.
Right, 3 zeros.
Hey, that describes what we are on this podcast. No.
Hey, I can say that because I'm the dummy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, the dummy did pretty well last week with his sportings.
Hey, I got something else I want to throw out there. We went ahead and set up a show notes, if you will. It's at spewthesnews.wordpress.com, so that you can go there and kind of see the scoring methodology that we're coming up with and a few other things and a little summary of each show and whatnot. So go check that out.
Yeah, we'll put up some extra stuff and have some more explanatory information on there in the future, and we'll work on getting that up and running more and more stuff as this podcast hopefully grows and gets bigger and bigger.
Leave us a comment so that we know that there's maybe one lonely person listening to us.
I know. Even if it's I hate you, you're horrible.
Hey,
it would be like, hey, you listen to us.
Hey, Grandma, that's you. Leave us a comment.
That's right. That's right. Poke, poke. All right. So let's jump into our Sports for Dummies segment. The short segment, basically news for those of you that don't have the time to sit down and watch, 4 hours of SportsCenter and take in everything every day sports-wise. So we're here to give you the quick and dirty version so that when you get yourself around the water cooler, you can hopefully hold your own on the important things that are happening in the sports world. So first of all, we have to start off with the Wildcard Wednesday, which is what they called yesterday in baseball. Both wildcard spots in the AL and the NL up for grabs.
We're talking about baseball, right, Zach?
Yes, we are. We're talking about the Major League Baseball, the Yankees and the Red Sox and all those teams. So two teams, the Braves and the Red Sox, had huge leads at the beginning of September. The last 25 or so games, both teams have fell apart, and actually both teams were tied in the wild card race last night with the Rays and the Cardinals, respectively. And the Rays and Cardinals both won, and the Braves and Red Sox both lost. So the Rays and the Cardinals are in the playoffs. The Braves and the Red Sox are not. That is incredible, especially the way it happened. We'll get into it more, but
Let me ask some dummy questions.
Go right ahead.
Okay, this is two separate games we're talking about that happened at the same time?
Yes. There were four separate games for two different wild card spots.
So there were two teams. Let's see.
Yep.
We're talking about the wild card. So somebody else had run away with the pennant, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these two teams that were in the lead in second had both kind of dropped off and had upstarts that were going to take them out, right?
Yep.
Each one had a game. Were they each double headers? Is that what happened?
No, they just played. Let's see.
Oh, so the two teams weren't playing each other.
Correct.
So there were four teams. So all of these players were probably listening to the FM radios in the dugout or what?
Oh yeah, they actually were. They were watching. They were scoreboard watching, without a doubt.
Oh right, it shows it on the big board.
But it's an absolutely monumental collapse. The Boston Red Sox were up 9 games. 9 games in the win column. They had 9 more wins than the Rays. At the beginning of September, the Braves had, I think it was 8 or 9 more wins September 5th or 6th than the St. Louis Cardinals, and those teams came back and won the wild card. That's like basically an NFL team being down, having to win all 3 of their games at the end of the season to win the wild card, and a team that has the wild card, just has to win 1 to win the wild card, and they just lose all 3. Something that sort of collapse.
This gets right into the one of the reasons I think baseball is boring is because there's so many games, and this situation does not occur very often. This is a statistical anomaly.
It was
as an engineer.
It was for once. Game 162 was this important. It's kind of I don't think this happens that often.
But in football, this happens every year.
But that's why baseball is so cool, because after 162 games, the last one matters. It's always down to the wire.
It's always down to the wire, or just
not always, but it can happen. But it's pretty cool. It was incredible when it did last night. But we'll get more in depth into that a little bit later. So, again, quick sports for dummies. 3 undefeated teams in the NFL are left, In the NFC, you have the defending Super Bowl champions, the Green Bay Packers, as well as division rivals, the Detroit Lions, both teams 3-0, and as Nathan said, the Buffalo Bills, the only undefeated team in the AFC after knocking off the Patriots last week. Usually we have a couple more teams, I think, undefeated going into week 4. Not many, but maybe 2 more. But it's very interesting who is undefeated besides Green Bay. I mean, Detroit and Buffalo, like we talked about last week, Mark, teams that have done nothing that really the past couple years, and all of a sudden, here they are at the top of the league.
This is a Disney movie happening.
It is. It's been Disney in sports for the past couple of weeks, months even.
Look at that.
It's really something else.
It's Disney season.
The Lion King is coming out too in 3D, so it is Disney season.
I know.
The Lion King.
That's
awesome.
good. That's good.
Awesome.
Wow. I never thought of that connection.
Right.
Huh. So,
It's
Michael...
It's the circle of life in the NFL.
It is the circle of life. Oh, it's something else, isn't it? That's why football is better sometimes than baseball, too, is because of the parity and the turnover in football as opposed to baseball, in my opinion. So, Michael Vick, quarterback for the Eagles, hurt again this week. An apparent broken non-throwing hand turned into being a deep tissue bruise. So he will be playing this week, but he got hurt again. I mean, I don't know.
Liability. I smell a liability coming.
Yes.
Deep tissue bruise, read, to me, you read that in the news, but what you really think is,
What?
Yeah, it is kind of one of those things. It was like, it sucks because it's like, it's a deep tissue bruise, and all you hear is bruise, and you're like, oh, come on,
Well, what probably happened was it hurt, and he was worried that, you would do something to injure it further, and now that he's had it checked out, you don't want to say, it wasn't anything. So you have to come up with a word that sounds like it was bad.
Yep. Well.
Deep.
And we'll talk about that later, too, the whole Michael Vick thing, and even his comments after the game about late hits and stuff. A quick... Yeah, he's a baby. Nate's a Cowboys fan as well, by the way.
So that's why also to point out that the Lions will not be undefeated after this week.
Ooh, bold predictions already.
Already, I'm just jumping the barrel right here.
That's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and make predictions throughout the entire show if they're that good.
That's my cold hold block.
Really?
Cold Bach.
No, not really. Not really.
I do know that we needed a cool nickname for that, but it wasn't going to be a cold horde. Can't even say it.
Wow.
Yeah, you got me tongue-tied. So, quick NBA update. David Stern, the commissioner, the head of the NBA whatever thing, not the players' union, but the team, the owners and the coaches, he's basically said that they're going to meet this weekend and see whether or not they will have a season. Whether we will have a season or not have a season. That's what he said this weekend. These weekend's meetings are all about. So maybe we'll get somewhere. Maybe there'll be some news on the NBA lockout for those of you who are NBA fans. And Texas A&M has been formally accepted to the ACC. They were actually one of the first teams to try and move in this beginning of superpower conferences in college sports. They tried to get out of the Big 12 and go into the SEC. SEC, not ACC. And, surprisingly, a lot of other teams moved around first, but Texas A&M now has formally been apparently, gotten out of the Big 12, its original not original, but the conference it was in, and is being accepted to the SEC. When they'll be admitted exactly, no one knows. And a quick Peyton Manning update. We talked about him last night, turning his head to look at pretty girls too many times. He's out. There's talk from the GM, Jim Irsay, I believe the Colts GM name is, who said that Peyton Manning most likely, paraphrasing, said he will most likely be out for the season, but Peyton Manning has said that he doesn't know yet, and they haven't put him on the injured reserve list, which would put him out for the rest of the season. So Manning could come back for the Colts.
And that means that the team was like the injured reserve list allows them to pull up another player, right?
Yeah, injured reserve basically takes the guy off the roster, in the way of it allows. Right. It gives that extra roster spot.
So that means that there must be some chance that he'll come back.
Yes.
Right.
So far, yeah.
Of course, it's not looking like there'll be much postseason for them yet.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like he'll come back with a chance to lead them to the playoffs.
Right.
You never know, though. They did put up a heck of a fight against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
It came close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, well, they almost blew my Stone Cold Lock pick, so
That would be bad.
I was kind of nervous on that one. All right, so in-depth news here. I got to go back to what we talked about first, Sports Dummies, the Wildcard Wednesday in Major League Baseball. And Mark, you may not know much about baseball, but here's the thing: if you're a true sports fan and you heard about this, I think that this would make your hair stand up on end. This is incredible stuff. I've got a couple numbers here. The Red Sox were up, 9 games in the wild card over the Rays at the beginning of September.
Wow.
Boston goes 7-19.
Wow.
In September alone. Okay? They went 7-18 to allow the Rays to tie it. Now, the Rays played their butts off to get to the tie, too, but Boston collapsed. Boston plays Baltimore, the Orioles, at Baltimore. Baltimore is a 68-93 team. Okay? It goes to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Red Sox are up 3-2, and they have their closer, Jonathan Papelbon, who's one of the best closers in Major League.
And they hold their own destiny. If they win this, then they're in, right?
Well, if they win this and the Tampa Bay Rays win, then they have a playoff game. But yes, if the Red Sox win, they live to play another day. So they do have their own destiny. So during all of this, the Yankees are playing the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Tampa Bay Rays are up 7-0. The New York Yankees are up 7-0 going into the 8th inning. So and remember, the Red Sox went through a huge rain delay as well to watch some of the game. As the Rays stormed back, scored, what was it, Nate? Did you watch the game?
Yes, 6 runs in the 8th inning, and then 1 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. A 1-0-8 hitter hit a 2-out, 2-strike home run in the bottom of the 9th to tie it up to send it into extra innings.
Dan Johnson was his name. And of the 53 career home runs he has, I saw this stat on MLB Network. 16 of them were go-ahead home runs, and 6 of them were game-tying home runs.
What's a go-ahead? To take the lead.
Yeah. So basically, almost half of his home runs have been in big clutch spots, which is something else. So anyway, while this is going on, like you said, they were being played simultaneously. So we're going to extra innings, Yankees Rays. I believe it's the bottom of the 12th inning.
12:04-ish.
Yeah.
It all happens within minutes of each other.
Yeah. Bottom of the 12th inning. The Rays are up because they're home. They have that last at bats. And like I said, it's the bottom of the 9th. The Red Sox versus the Orioles, and Jonathan Papelbon strikes out the first 2 Orioles batters he faces. Up comes Chris Davis for the Orioles. He hits a double. And then Nolan Remold, outfielder for the Orioles, comes up, and he hits a double, scoring Davis, and all of a sudden the game is tied 3-3. Up comes Robbie Andino for the Orioles again, and he hits a single. All of this with 2 outs, okay, that just barely gets down in front of the left fielder, Carl Crawford, for the Boston Red Sox. Huge, $100 million man at least, pick up by the Red Sox this offseason. And the former team he played for, the Tampa Bay Rays. And the guy
Carl
scores.
Crawford has had a slumping season. Red Sox Nation has been very mad at him, so this just adds to the fire.
So it drops in front of him, and the guy on second, Remold, it comes around and scores for the walk-off win, and the Baltimore Orioles win 4-3, right? So while this is going on, the Rays, again, it's the bottom of the 12th inning. I think it was B.J. Upton was up, and all of a sudden the crowd explodes as the pitcher pitches the ball, and the B.J. Upton swings and looks like he's about to get hit by something because he doesn't know what's going on. And the entire crowd and the entire Rays dugout starts pointing at the scoreboard and jumping up and down because they see that the Red Sox have lost. So Upton, I think, strikes out or something, I don't remember. And up comes Evan Longoria, who hit a 3-run home run in that 6-run 8th. And he hits a walk-off solo home run to send the Rays to the playoffs.
So can I make a prediction with my dumminess? Okay, we joked about Disney. 2 years from now, a movie comes out. It's got Dennis Quaid as the rookie again, or something like that in it. You know?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past
him. And
they
say, based on a true story.
And everyone's going to look at that and go, was that really how it happened?
Right, and
They
they'll
must be
all go to
embellishing
Wikipedia, and what will happen is they'll do a Google search and they'll find this podcast, and they'll say, that sports dummy predicted this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible the way it happened. You know, again, 2 outs, the Rays are down a run, the guy comes up, 2 strikes on him, hits a home run to tie it. The Red Sox, you know, up 3-2, get 2 outs, but with their closer on the mound, gives up back-to-back doubles and then the single to lose the game. And then right after that, literally right after that, the next batter for the Rays comes up and hits a walk-off home run. I mean, you couldn't put a bunch of Hollywood writers together in a room for 24 hours and have them come up with a better baseball story.
Now, hang on. You said there were 4 games.
Yes.
That was just the American side.
Yes, that was the American League. So
double the improbability. This happened in the other league as well.
Yes, the National League. The
Can
Atlanta
I throw
Braves.
quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Rays in the bottom of the 8th had a 0.6% chance of winning that game.
What are you, Spock?
It was a stat on SportsCenter. I'm stealing it.
How do you calculate that?
Copyright.
It's one of those, like, advanced sabermetric, like, they run all these formulas and numbers and logarithms together, algorithms or whatever, you know, from past games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, like, something like, 0.6%? So, Nate, I got to ask, because Nate's a Yankees fan, what were your feelings about the game?
Well, I just wanted the Red Sox to lose, because if the Red Sox lost, I didn't care what happened. Because the Yankees, now they won the playoffs with a 4-game losing streak. Kind of has me worried.
Yep.
At the same time, our ex-rivals, the Red Sox, are no longer in the playoffs. So I'm happy and sad at the same time.
Well, yeah, because would you rather have a Red Sox team that barely made it into the playoffs, is reeling, has tons of injuries, or would you rather give the Cinderella team a team that has probably what could be considered the best starting pitching in both leagues in the Tampa Bay Rays? Or, you know, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right, but I think the rivalry comes into play, and the Red Sox have had the Yankees number all year, so I'm kind of glad they are no longer in October.
Right. So now going back to the point, the other 2 games, in the National League. So the Atlanta Braves, and this I take much glee in this as a Mets fan because this may be on par with the meltdown in 2007 when the Mets were up, I think, 7 games with 17 games left to play against the Phillies, and the Mets lost the division. Bad memories.
Don't cry, Zach. It's okay.
I won't cry. I might go get myself a drink though. But anyway, the Braves had a 8.5 game lead on September 6th, I believe it was. Yes, and the Braves went 9-18 in September. Okay? They had lost their last 4 games, and they were playing the division-leading, NL division-leading Philadelphia Phillies. Now, was it earlier in the day that the St. Louis Cardinals had crushed the Houston Astros?
Well, at the same time, but their game ended a little bit earlier because it was a blowout. It was a quick game.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Houston Astros 8-0. So the best the Braves now can hope for, as they're up 3-2, is to win their game and then play a playoff, or a play-in game against the St. Louis Cardinals. So it goes into the 9th inning, 3-2. The Atlanta Braves send in their rookie, possible NL Rookie of the Year, in their closer Kimbrel, who blows the save, and we go into extra innings. So in the 13th inning, the Phillies win it on, I don't remember, it was like a single by Hunter Pence or something.
It bounced in the infield, the single, and then rolled out to the outfield. It was not the hardest hit ball in the world.
It was one of those, phew, it got, and then the Phillies pitcher, I think it was Herndon or something, closed the door for his first career save or something. And the Braves lost, and again in dramatic fashion, and now the St. Louis Cardinals are going to the NL into the playoffs as the NL wildcard. And it's funny, if this had happened, the Braves collapse is epic in itself, but the Red Sox one just outclasses it a little bit more, and it's the Boston Red Sox. I mean, it was an incredible night of baseball with the extra inning games and the way everything happened. It was just insane. It really was. All right.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, not really.
Well, it does. As a sports fan, it does sound. I mean, baseball is one of those sports. Even I myself sometimes struggle to get into a game, but that sort of storyline is something else. Is it not?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I just, without, as a sports dummy who doesn't watch baseball much at all, baseball, the game doesn't interest me that much, and without all of the background building up to it, I don't know that it would have interested me quite so much. Maybe if I was with one of you guys, like in the same room, and could catch the fever a little bit,
right?
But to sit there by myself, instead of doing something like this and turn on the baseball, it wouldn't interest me. Sorry.
Oh, it's not. It's all right. I mean, like you said, in 2 to 5 years, it could be a Disney movie.
It definitely sounds like it.
All right, so a quick thing here. I got to ask you a question, Uncle Mark.
Yes, sir.
If you're ranking, we'll say teams, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the number 1 team and the number 2 team, and both teams win by about the same margin against about similar talented teams. Do they stay where they are, or do you flip-flop them?
Okay, so Team 1 plays a team that's of neutral difficulty, and Team 2, that's in second, plays a team also of neutral difficulty.
Yes.
And they both win.
Yes.
I would say that the ranking would stay the same, but the gradation between 1 and 2 would slightly decrease.
Excuse me for a second.
Go ahead. Oh, all right. So Nate's taking a leave of absence for a couple of minutes here. So this is what happened, Uncle Mark. LSU, number 1 team in the country.
We're in football now, right?
Yes, we're in college football. We're almost to football. Oklahoma.
I knew that was college football, and I'm proud of myself for knowing it.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Yeah.
Well, you said LSU, so I knew it was college something.
Right. Well, I always got confused because there's a Louisiana Tech University, which is like a really small college. Well, not really small, but it's smaller. And then there's LSU, and I always saw it as LSU. So whenever anyone ever said Louisiana State University, I always paused and had to think about it for.
Oh, I have this confusion all the time, Zach. I lived in Florida, and they have the University of Florida, and what's the other one? One's just called Florida, and the people are so polarized to one team or the other.
Yeah.
If you screw up, you could get killed.
Yeah, it's Florida State and Florida.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks. I don't know which one is which. One is an Indian and one is a Gator. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, it's something else. I always got confused with that too. They say the Florida team, which one? So anyway, so Oklahoma's the number 1 team. They play Missouri and beat Missouri 38-28. LSU plays number 16 West Virginia and beats them. I don't remember what the score is. I don't know. I only know this because I went to Syracuse, a Syracuse University fan, and West Virginia's in the Big East as is Syracuse for now. West Virginia is not that good a team. I don't know why they were. I don't think they're that good of a team. I don't know why they were ranked that high. So I would equate West Virginia and Missouri together, talent-wise, because Missouri looks pretty good. But even so, LSU overtakes Oklahoma and is now the number 1 team in the nation.
Well, I'm back.
True.
West Virginia is a very good team. They have a very good offense. Their defense isn't on par with everybody else, but I think LSU should have been number 1 to begin with. They have a much harder schedule than Oklahoma.
All right, here's my take on it. I just figured this out. The way they do those rankings is all of the coaches vote, right?
Pretty much, yes.
So all the coaches watch the game with a totally different view, whatever mood they were in, or maybe one of them likes defense and one of them likes offense, or whatever. So you really can't do it numerically in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It's almost random each week, to be honest, within a certain framework.
It really is. It is always interesting to see sometimes. Sometimes there are the votes of, this team went undefeated and won every game, and then there are the votes of, this team won a game, lost a game or lost 2 games, but they played a tougher schedule, so they should be ranked above. It's always interesting to see that sort of, those sort of things being used, and I always kind of go, I wonder why they thought of it that way that time. But yeah, LSU overtakes Oklahoma as the number 1 team. Interesting to note, Boise State, number 4 in the nation, is always that little team that could. They're facing off against Nevada. They're also undefeated, or Boise State's undefeated. They're playing Nevada, who beat Boise State to end Boise. It was the only loss Boise State had last year, so that'll be an interesting implication. Alabama, number 3 in the nation, against Florida, which is number 8 in the nation. That's a big matchup this Saturday.
Go Florida.
And Nebraska, I think this is its first Big Ten game, which is Nebraska's number 9 or something, against Wisconsin, which is like number 7. I don't know.
7-8 seeds.
7-8. So, big matchup so far. Top 10 teams facing off against each other this weekend. And real quick, because it's my team, Syracuse University beat Toledo in overtime, 33-30. They scored a touchdown when they were down 27-23. So it's 29-27. Their kicker misses the extra point, but it's ruled good on the field, and they look at the replay and say it's still good.
But you can look at the replay and see that it's not?
And easily see that it's not, yes.
So maybe they're watching some other game, or what? I mean, how does that happen?
Apparently, they were playing at Syracuse, so maybe they replayed a different extra point somehow.
Did they replay the coach passing the wad of bills to the referee?
No, I think that the cameraman got paid off at the same time too.
Nice.
But yeah, so anyway,
turn off camera 5. Turn off camera 5.
I know. Quickly, pan away. Yeah. So Toledo goes down the field, kicks the field goal to tie it. They go into overtime. Syracuse, kicks a field goal and stops Toledo, and Syracuse wins. And there's a bit of an uproar. It's like, they can't take away the win, but they can't, but that was blatant, and it's all sorts of things. But yeah, so Syracuse does get that victory despite the fact that they probably shouldn't.
That's unbelievable. So you personally saw this. How far out was it?
Well, I didn't. I saw the replays of it.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like most extra points, unless it's horribly shanked, are if you miss, they're close. Real speed half the time I'm like, did that go in? Did that go out? Unless it's right down the middle. When you watch the replay, it is blatantly obvious that the football passes, because the camera's from the backside, so you can see, the football passes in front of the yellow goalposts.
Right. That's why they're yellow. Yeah.
So, which means that it didn't go through the uprights.
It didn't hit the uprights. There's no.
No, it didn't hit it. Nope. Yeah, it's something else. I couldn't.
I think it's time for the referee crew to go for the eye exam.
Yeah, I know this. All those jokes actually coming. They're actually true now.
Wow.
But yeah, that's something else. If that ever happened in a game between like Florida, Alabama, there would be riots in the street. I mean, like you said, if Florida and Florida State played each other and that thing happened, there would be rioting.
Wow.
Yeah. So, just a quick update here. Kobe Bryant. Pretty much everyone knows that name, whether they're sports dummies, sports fans, or non-sports fans, I'm going to guess, correct?
I'm guessing he's a basketball player.
Yes, he is. So, Kobe Bryant, who's known as Kobe, for first name only, he said that he's heavily contemplated, whatever word you want to put, playing in Italy if the lockout occurs.
Oh, right. The lockout, he's got nothing to do. Okay.
Yep. That's how serious the players, this has gotten, is that basically like the biggest or second biggest star in the NBA, in terms of like name value, it's LeBron and it's Kobe. He's thinking about playing in Italy.
Wow.
So that's how dire, I guess you could say, the NBA news is. All right, so let's get into go ahead.
I'm just shocked that they play basketball in Italy.
I know, right?
Well, let it be known that Kobe did grow up in Italy for a little bit. I think his father might have played there for a year or two.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, now it comes out. Okay, that makes sense. That helps.
Where's Deron Williams, the point guard for the Nets? He's playing in Turkey overseas, isn't he? Or is planning to, or something like that.
Who is?
Deron Williams, the point guard for the Nets.
I think so. Turkey. Yeah, Turkey.
There are a couple of big names, well, not huge names, but names that are being floated out there and playing in some of these smaller international leagues. Where like college players who can't make it in the NBA. Or high school players who drop out and don't make, out of they don't go to college, they try and get right to the NBA or stuff like that. They find their way to playing, basketball in these international leagues.
So ads to get onto the Harlem Globetrotters team have gone up 4,000%. Is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's what they should do. They should have an NBA players team play the Harlem Globetrotters instead of the Washington Generals or whatever they are.
Well, when they tour around, they always play like college football teams, don't they? Haven't they been to Syracuse and played the Syracuse people? The Orangemen, that's the word.
There you go. No, I think they always play the Washington Generals.
Oh, okay.
I think that those are just like locations and venues they play at.
Who are the Washington Generals? Is that a college team?
That's just like an amateur, made up team so that they can stage all their crap.
That's their feeder team. You know, like baseball uses the AA or AAA.
Right.
Or something. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. So moving on to what we probably all know best, NFL football. So, what impressed you? You know, or what? Let's talk about what was watched or heard about this weekend or last weekend. Don't all speak at once.
I'm sorry.
What's the question?
What's the category there, Alex Trebek?
What is Jeopardy?
I was just about to say, you must answer in the form of a question. I said, well, what impressed you this week? Well, this last weekend watching football or hearing about it or anything. What have you taken away from this last week 3 of football?
I have to be honest. I have taken nothing away. I didn't see a single game. The most exciting thing happened when I watched the end of the Jaguars game by standing in front of my computer, having just mowed my lawn, and watched it basically standing there, keep waiting for updates when the Jaguars got the ball that last time. And you basically stand there for 20 seconds, and then NFL.com updates, and then doing that. And honestly, it wasn't all that exciting, particularly because we lost, and also because I didn't get to see it.
Well, my opinions are that that's a good comment, Uncle Mark. I like the Jaguars, and unfortunately, they're not the best team. But I think the AFC East might be the best division in football. If the Bills can stay like this, you got the Patriots, who with Tom Brady, he will never leave. You got the Jets with the defense, and the Dolphins are just there. But if the Bills can keep on a roll, that is probably the best division in football.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit more from the AFC East. We're only 3 weeks into the season. There are a lot of questions. I was impressed with the Bills and the Raiders. Those were 2 impressive wins. By the way, I did pick the Bills to beat the Patriots. Thank you.
We have to have some sort of cue the crowd noise kind of a button.
I wish I had one of those.
As the intern, I have to work on that.
Okay, you get on that.
Okay, maybe I faked it.
Okay, that's fine by me. I'm all up for the fake applause, as long as it's directed my way.
It's more like this.
My impressions, like I said, the Bills and Raiders were impressive. I feel bad for the Minnesota Vikings. Twice they've taken 20-point leads into the half, and both times they've lost. I was very interested in the Sunday night game, excuse me. The Colts playing the Steelers as tough as they did. I don't know whether or not that means the Colts are better than I thought they were, because I thought, without Peyton Manning, they're a horrible team. With him, they're average to above average. Or if the Steelers are just, worse than I thought that they were, which would be a AFC North Division title winner. Basically, I watched the Monday night game with the Dallas Cowboys and saw the Dallas Cowboys scratch out a victory, and I was impressed with that because most past Cowboys teams would have just folded without their top 2 wide receivers, with their quarterback, barely able to breathe, and that was just a game in which normally they wouldn't win and wouldn't expect themselves to win. So I was impressed with that.
Well,
so
impressed about that is that the defense finally stepped up late when the Cowboys needed them. In past years, the defense has always been a weakest point. Now they stepped up when the Cowboys needed them and got that fumble.
Yeah, it's funny is that even when the Cowboys, I think, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when they beat the Eagles back-to-back?
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, or something. It was always kind of the defense, even though it was one of the top-rated defenses, it always seemed like the offense would get that lead late, and then the defense would struggle to keep it. The defense couldn't close games. I could be wrong. It just seemed like the defense couldn't close games, and it happened the last 2 years especially last year. The defense just couldn't close out games. I hearken back to the Thanksgiving Day game, the Baltimore Ravens against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are down, like 10, 14 points in the fourth quarter. Romo drives down the field, scores a touchdown with 4 minutes left. They kick the ball off. The Ravens run like a play, and they bust a 70-yard touchdown run.
Oh.
The Cowboys get the ball back, being down 10, 14 points, whatever it was. Romo marches them down the field again, and with 2 minutes left, scores another touchdown. And what happens is the Ravens run a running play, and their guy just runs again like 80 yards down the field for a touchdown to put the game out of reach. I mean, that kind of embodied, for me, the Cowboys' defense, seemingly the way they closed games. And they did, like you said, they did it differently. They did it against Washington. They really did. That was impressive. The Chiefs surprised me. I was surprised that they hung with the San Diego Chargers. They almost beat them. I heard reports. I didn't see the game, but I heard reports like people saying that the Chiefs probably should have won that game.
Hey, keeper of the statistics, weren't they my upset?
They were your upset pick, yes.
You came close.
Yeah.
That's
the story of my life. I'm almost cool.
It's better than not being even close to cool. And almost cool is cool in my book. So, what about anybody? You guys got any MVPs or LVPs, least valuable players, most valuable players?
Well, I think a surprise MVP is going to be Cam Newton. I know the Panthers are 1-2, but the 2 losses he puts up 400-plus yards. Then the win, he gets like 175. But Cam Newton, after coming off the Heisman, has that ever been done? Winning a Heisman the next year, winning an NFL MVP?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But that's pretty awesome.
He's a muffin.
You said he was a crumb cake.
Crumb cake. Well, actually, yeah, they did win. So he went from crumb cake to muffin.
He did, yes. Well, what I meant, Nate, that's an interesting prediction. But what I like from the last week, like MVP of the week. Sorry,
I
didn't specify. No, that's all right.
Nate's way ahead of us. He's already picking the whole year.
Well, I'll get my MVP. I picked the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, undrafted rookie out of Oklahoma State, Dan Bailey. Went 6 for 6, 41-yard long field goal, including the game winner with just under 2 minutes left. Had all 18 of the Cowboys' points. For a rookie kicker, I think that was impressive for in a division game like that with the pressure mounting. So.
Well, my MVP's got to be Kelvin Johnson. Then he had like 1 reception going into like the third quarter, and all of a sudden he just broke out and basically won that game for the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm. Mark, you got any?
I got nothing. Although my MVP last week was the Detroit Lions scouting team, and I guess it continues to be so because they really have to be. I don't know what they did, or what the drugs are taking, or what they're doing up there. It's just unbelievable. Maybe they've taken a look at I think what's happened is they've taken a look at the job market in the Detroit area and decided that they need to stay employed.
Now they're like, we can't just take this for granted. We actually have to do some work. All right. So I've got what about least valuable? Mine would be the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff because they blew a 20-0 lead, I believe. Well, I can't remember if it was at home or not, but with Adrian Peterson on your team, considered the best back in NFL. And you blew a 20-0 lead, and you only gave Adrian Peterson the ball 5 times, if that. That was just stupid. They should have been able to run out the clock and beat the Lions probably. But
I have to agree with that. But my LVP's got to be whoever got it on the Chicago Bears held on that awesome punt return touchdown. Who held the side of the field. I think that was just awful that the refs called it, and B, that he would even hold and had no effect on the play.
All right.
Describe what happened. I'm a dummy.
It's the coolest play in the world.
You got it, Nate?
Yeah. So the Bears were down 10 against the Packers with like 5 minutes left. The Packers were punting with like 4th and 7, right? And the Bears had one of the best punt returners in the game named Devin Hester. He has returned like 10 touchdowns in his life, which is really, really good. So the ball is kicked. The ball was kicked to, the top left of the screen. Devin Hester ran all the way to the bottom right. The whole defense went with him. This one guy for the Bears caught it over his shoulder. The whole defense is on the opposite side of the field. The guy that caught it for the Bears has one blocker who just pushed down the kicker, the only defensive person in the area, and just walked into the end zone. Literally, it was just a perfect design play. Nobody knows if it was intentional or not. It was just a perfect play, and it was called back because of a holding call on the opposite side of the field.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, it was punted to one side of the field. The defense and the punt returner, who the defense was keying on, all ran to the other side of the field, while the one Bear on where the ball was actually punted caught it and ran it back for a touchdown, basically untouched because everyone thought it was a total punked moment.
So obviously the plane arrived in that town from Syracuse with the refs on it.
Yeah.
Yes, and yeah. Whatever the refs at Syracuse had to eat or drink before that game, the Packers punt coverage special teams unit had it too.
Right.
It was really interesting to see because the camera was fooled too. It was pretty cool. I forgot about that. I wanted to bring that up. Nice catch, Nate. Let's see. So I want to talk about dream and nightmare seasons. I mean, you talk about teams who go, have a dream season. Like last year, you could say the Kansas City Chiefs going 10-6, winning the AFC West, had a dream season. And you've got the teams that have nightmare seasons, like last year, the Dallas Cowboys going, what'd they end up, 5-11 or 6-10?
6-10.
Yeah, but they started at 1-7, and it was Tony Romo got hit. It was just a total nightmare. So you've got these teams. Where did I put them? Oh, so I got to ask whether or not the seasons right now, whether these seasons for these teams will end up being a dream season or a nightmare season. And I got to start off with the Detroit Lions, 3-0. Are they going to continue it, and is it going to be a dream season, or are they going to fall off and be a nightmare?
I think it's going to be a dream season. It already is, because 3 years ago they had one win, and they already have 3 in the first 3 games, so I think it's already considered a dream season for the Detroit Lions.
A 300% increase in productivity.
That's right.
So if they go 5-8 the rest of the way, which leads to 8-8 overall, is that a dream season for the Lions?
Yes, I think 500 and better is considered a dream season for all Detroit Lions fans and players and coaches.
If you consider that a dream season, I think they can do that.
I do too. Yeah, I don't think that would be a dream season because I think I think that this Detroit team is talented enough, and the fans see the talent that they should win. They should be above 500, and if they're not above 500 and even don't make the playoffs, I think that it won't be a nightmare, but I don't think that'll be a dream for them. So what about the Bills? 3-0, just knocked off the Patriots, who everyone was saying probably Super Bowl favorites.
Uncle Mark, you can take this one first.
How about the Bills? Is it a dream season for them?
Will it be a dream or a nightmare season for them?
I think it'll be a dream season for them. But I think that they all have this memory of a nightmare of the whole Super Bowl loss thing, and I think that they all have it in their minds that they want to break the streak and all that. So I think they're all hoping to go all the way to the Super Bowl and actually win.
That'd be a really big dream. That'd be amazing. I'd root for them.
Well, that would definitely be a dream season.
Right, but they have that chip on their shoulders, as well they should, for that the bad years.
Right.
Well, they were good years, but you know what I mean.
It'll be interesting. I mean, yeah, they've had a lot of bad years, so I think if they get to 500 and go 8-8 this season, I don't know if it'll be a dream season, but I know that they traded their top wide receiver Lee Evans for a second or third round pick to the Ravens. And everyone expected the Bills to win a game or 2 max and be in the Andrew Luck sweepstakes for the first overall pick. And instead they're 3-0, and it looks like they could compete in the AFC East. I mean, it's already a dream. I mean, if they lose their next 13 games, it's a nightmare. But I think that it'll be interesting to see. I want to see if they can maintain what they're doing or if they kind of fall off a little bit.
That will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think it'll be a dream season for them. I think they'll make the playoffs. Okay, So this was the team that I wanted. I kind of made this for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. Vince Young, when he signed with them, even though he's just the backup quarterback, basically called them a dream team with all apparently the talent and free agent, acquisitions they made. And yet, and they've got Michael Vick at quarterback, and yet here they are. They're 1-2. Mind you, they lost to the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants, who are two solid teams. So, what do you think the nightmare will continue for Philadelphia Eagles fans?
If Vic stays injured, yes. If he recovers, they're just too talented to stay a nightmare.
I have no opinion.
You have none?
None at all. I'm completely uninformed, and I don't even have anything witty to add.
But you always have something witty to add.
Well, you can't say that anymore.
Well, oh man!
I know I've disappointed you. I made it 2 episodes, and that's it. You're ready to kick me off the team.
You're not getting kicked off. You're a starting member. You're a founding father. You're staying on this podcast until
I have tenure.
That's right. Meanwhile, Nathan's under evaluation.
Right. That's why I said we should make him keep the stats.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. Almost like the hazing. So what about, let's see, who else? The Chicago Bears. They're going through their own nightmare. They won the NFC North, went to the championship game. Now they're 1-2. They seem to be struggling. You think that their nightmare season will continue, or do you think they can turn it around?
I think playing football is a nightmare for Jay Cutler. I think every time he opens his eyes, he sees a defensive lineman coming to sack him. So I think it will continue to be a nightmare.
Yeah, Jay Cutler's not looking forward to ever playing football again if he has to play it for the Chicago Bears. That guy gets sacked and hit more often than a freaking, slot machine.
You never know. Maybe he grew up in an abusive family and he's like totally into it.
He's just into S&M and that bondage stuff.
He's got the cigarette burns, the cigarette burn marks his dad gave him and all that, Chicago's a tough town, man. He probably didn't come from there. No, nobody plays for the team when they actually grow up, I suppose. Not many.
No, very few. I don't know if there's ever. I mean, I'm certain there has been, but yeah, there are a lot of times. I always like that whole when they're like, I grew up rooting for the Chargers, and now I just got drafted by the New York Giants. It's like, oh, well, that must kind of suck.
What happens if you're drafted by a team and you don't want to play for them?
Ask Eli Manning.
What if you refuse? I mean, how many years do you have to wait before you could go on as a free agent or something?
I think it's the new bargaining thing that they made this year, that was the lockout. I think it made it 3 years tops.
So, he goes and works for McDonald's for 3 years, and then he comes back.
Right.
Yeah. He plays for whatever team he wants.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Drew Henson did it, basically. He got drafted by the Texans, I think it was, and decided to go play baseball for the Yankees minor league teams. And when that didn't pan out, he came back and wanted to play football. So,
that's not cool. That's a man with his own destiny.
Yeah, the Texans had his rights, so they signed him and then traded him.
Well, Jay Cutler's certainly been in the league long enough. He's just not good enough to write his own ticket and go wherever he wants.
I mean, he's under contract for the Bears. I mean, they're paying him tons and tons of money.
So nobody made him sign that.
No one did. Although he did get traded to the Bears, but he was happy about that at the time. Now he might be regretting it. He's like, put up with Josh McDaniels and the headaches he gives me, or put up with this horrible offensive line the Chicago Bears have and have my entire body throb in pain. So, all right. So something I brought this up. I want to bring this up. I saw this. I've seen this a couple weeks now. Illegal hits on defenders or by defenders. The quarterback, that new rule they put in that if you're on the ground, you can't try and tackle a quarterback to try and avoid what happened to Tom Brady when Tom Brady stepped to throw a pass and a defender dove at his legs and his knee buckled and tore a bunch of ligaments in his knee, which I guess kind of makes sense to try and protect quarterbacks or players from those sorts of injuries. We saw two of them, one against Tom Brady and one against Ben Roethlisberger in Week 2. I do like the rule, but there have been a couple of penalties that have been interesting. I bring it up because Michael Vick, after he was taken out due to injury from the last game, complained about how he doesn't get the calls that most quarterbacks get in regards to late hits and stuff like that. So I just wanted to ask, what do you guys think about that? In general,
I think they should make them wear flags from their belt, and then and little tennis skirts while they're at it. I think it's a sissy thing. I'm tired of hearing more about it. Quarterbacks get hurt. It's too bad.
Yeah.
NFL is becoming a non-contact sport. It's disgraceful to the game.
It is kind of sad. There's protecting your players from unnecessary injuries and stuff, and then there's that stuff. I can understand the whole, the whole Tom Brady rule they're calling it, with the whole when you're on the ground you can't tackle the quarterback. But there's a lot of rules that I just kind of with the quarterback, and too many flags get thrown sometimes. It's one of those things where you're like, as a defender you got to ask, what am I supposed to do? Just like touch him?
Yep.
Then you've got the quarterbacks like a Vick, who, or a Romo or a Roethlisberger, who are, moving around in the pocket, and they have that escapability, so they don't want you to take away that, ability to where they can, the whistle doesn't get blown as soon as the quarterback is touched,
This is all financial. They really want these marquee quarterbacks because they sell a lot of merchandise, and they don't want them to get hurt. And I understand that, but I think enough has already been done with all these, in the grasp rules, and there's one about when they stay within the hash marks or something. There's already enough rules for this. They don't need any more.
And on that topic with the hitting, it's one of I call the San Diego Chargers and the New England Patriots. Tom Brady throws a pass to the tight end, Gronkowski actually, catches it over the middle, had a little leap. He's in the middle of the field, in the end zone, catches it. Just as he lands, Eric Weddle, the safety for the Chargers, comes over, pops it, gives him a good shot with his shoulder, knocks him to the ground. Gronkowski holds onto the ball. It's a touchdown. The ref instantly throws the flag and calls unnecessary roughness on the Chargers player.
Right, and the issue is that he could have dropped it.
Right, and that's what and it wasn't one of those, like, the ref threw it instant. It wasn't one of those things where the guy caught it, secured it, and, like, started to move or any, it was, I was like, what are you why would you throw that flag? It doesn't make sense. And then I saw it on Monday night. The LaRon Landry came over and absolutely, like, even as a football fan, it was an awesome hit. He laid out Laurent Robinson for the Cowboys. I mean, he absolutely crushed him. Robinson went up, exposed his body to make a catch along the sideline, and Landry just destroyed him. And they didn't throw a flag. And in my opinion, they've got that whole defenseless receiver rule. And to me, that's the epitome of a defenseless receiver. But, because he's trying to catch the ball, how you defense all that stuff. Later in the game, and I only bring this up because later in the game, Santana Moss for the Redskins makes a catch along near a first down marker in the middle of the field, goes to turn upfield, and as he's turning upfield right after he caught it and secured it, he gets lit up by Alan Ball, a clean shoulder hit, and they throw the flag because he was supposedly he was a defenseless receiver. There's people involved, Zach. It's not done by machines. That's all I got to say. Yeah. I just, and one could point out that it's me being a cowboy and a homer asking, why didn't they throw the flag earlier and they shouldn't have thrown the flag. I actually think that what happened with, Landry was not a penalty and shouldn't be a penalty. That's the way the game's being played. I mean, the receiver goes up for the ball. As a defender, your job is to not let him catch the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. But in the same token, there are so many times when it seems like some of these unnecessary roughness and illegal hits flags are thrown, when there's not, and then they miss some of the more obvious and blatant ones sometimes.
There's no definite rule, and that's why there's these bad calls.
I mean, yeah, it is getting awfully close to that whole, flag football mentality. And like you said earlier, Mark, they pay, the fans and, the NFL, the NFL, CBS and Fox and all these stations and advertisers, they are all paying for the quarterbacks and some of the running backs and wide receivers. Those are the marquee players. They're not paying, despite the fact that an offensive lineman or defensive lineman might be the best player on the team, they're always going to gravitate towards the quarterbacks and whatnot. So they are trying to protect them, and it's a money thing. But, sometimes it gets a little, to me, extreme.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right. So we'll move on. We'll get into our fantasy football segment, Stud or Muffin. A quick review from last week. The first player was Cam Newton. Mark, you said crumb cake.
Crumb cake.
I said muffin.
The result? Numbers-wise, he didn't do well, did he?
Not really, no. And I'm using the ESPN standard scoring for fantasy football, which is 25 yards passing is a point, 10 yards rushing is a point, 10 yards receiving is a point, a touchdown is 6 points. Yeah, that's basically all you need to know. But anyway, Cam Newton had 14 fantasy points, which was, middling for a quarterback. So he certainly wasn't a stud, but he did get the victory. So, I'd say we're both right and wrong. He didn't win you a fantasy football game, but...
Are you going to score this muffin thing?
I wasn't planning on it. I figured we'd just kind of keep track and make fun of each other.
Fine. Okay, we'll call that a wash. We'll call that a push.
Well, do you want to score it? We can score it.
No. We'll score the other thing. One mathematical thing. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I might like math sometimes, but don't overload me.
So you can handle it.
Oh, God. No, I can't. I don't want to. So, second player was Tom Brady. We both said stud. Duh. He had 23 points.
4 picks. Career high.
Yes, he did. He had 387 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 picks.
Oh,
so I'd say we were...
I got it, Zach. We should create a stud/muffin line in the sand. ESPN scoring 16 points. Higher than that is a stud, and less than that is a muffin.
All right,
18,
that sounds like
somewhere in there.
Well, let's see. How about we go
18.
18 for quarterback.
Oh, jeez. You're right. I'm sorry. I thought it would be simple, but you're right. It depends on the position.
16 for running back and wide receiver. How about that?
Got it.
Okay.
Simple. Because I'm not going to pick and then 14 for tight ends. It's simple. Believe me.
Okay.
18 for quarterback, 16 for running back, wide receiver, and 14 for tight ends. Those are the cutoffs. So Ben Tate, running back for the Texans, we both said stud. He had 8 fantasy points. 19 rushes, 82 yards. Pretty good game for him, but only 8 points, didn't score a touchdown. So we were both wrong. He was a muffin.
Yeah, but see, I'm a self-proclaimed dummy, so I can handle it.
I know. I know you're wrong, and it's like I was the dummy. I'm wrong, and I go, oh no, I have to explain this now.
And you thought I would be embarrassed to be the dummy. See, I'm just smart enough to be the dummy. It's a paradox.
It's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. What was that Winston Churchill quote about the Iron Curtain?
I don't know. All I know is that it's ironic, and that song by what's her name is not.
That's right. Yeah, Alanis Morissette. That's irony. All right. So this week we've got 3 players: Victor Cruz, wide receiver from the Giants, Darren McFadden, running back for the Raiders, and Rob Gronkowski, tight end for the New England Patriots. Both of them were in the top 14 in ESPN scoring. Cruz had 23 points and was tied for 11th with players like Tom Brady. Darren McFadden had 29 points, was third most in ESPN standard scoring, behind Wes Welker and rookie Torrey Smith from the Baltimore Ravens. Drafted in, I don't even know. He was. Let's just say he wasn't drafted in the first 2 or 3 rounds because I don't know who he is. So he had 172 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Pretty good day.
For 34 points. Kind of random.
Well,
he didn't have a.
That's what this is all about: separating the flash in the pan from the
Yeah, Torrey Smith didn't have a single catch the entire season until this game.
Wow.
And then he had 5 for 172 and 3 touchdowns, I think. So, that's crazy. And Rob Gronkowski, a tight end, had 22 points. He was tied for 14 most points with players like Calvin Johnson and Aaron Rodgers. So this week, I don't have it in front of me. Who do the Giants play? I don't know.
You don't have the schedule memorized? Nate?
No, I don't.
Help me out.
Wait, give me Count to 5.
Giants.
1, 2, 3, 4. Should I count in Roman numerals? I should count in Roman numerals, shouldn't I? Let me start again.
They play at Arizona.
Yeah. So the Giants play at Arizona, team that gave up 400 passing yards to Cam Newton. Didn't they give up 400 yards the next week to someone, too?
No, they played the Redskins. The Redskins didn't really do that great.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But in I was looking at week 1 there. I don't know what. And then in week 3, they played Seattle and lost. I think that's pretty much all you need to know about Arizona. So Victor Cruz playing mostly because Mario Manningham, the other starting receiver for the Giants, out with a concussion. There are signs that Manningham won't play this week, and Cruz will again start. And he played against the cornerbacks for the Philadelphia Eagles of Nnamdi Asomugha, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and Asante Samuel. I barely got those names out.
Well done, sir. Well done.
And still came up with 110 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a great run after the catch where he absolutely made Nnamdi Asomugha look like an idiot out on the field with a nice little juke move. So I think it was Asomugha. Maybe it was someone else. I don't remember. So let's go. We'll go with the newbie first here. Nate, Victor Cruz, stud or muffin against the Arizona Cardinals?
Muffin. Eli Manning's too unreliable as a quarterback.
All right. I'm going to go with Muffin as well. Manning has never, I'm going to play off Nate's point. Manning has never been a particularly consistent quarterback, and he was really good last week, throwing for 4 touchdowns and all that, and plus, I just think that Victor Cruz, I think sometimes you have these breakout players with the breakout games where teams don't know what they are or their tendencies, and now, it's kind of the verdict is a little bit out on him. I think the teams will pay more attention to him. So I think he'll be a muffin. I think he'll still get 6 to 8 points, but I don't think he'll be a stud.
Muffin. The coolest thing about him is his name. But, I think he's a muffin.
I know. I'm waiting for Chris Berman to call him the cruise missile.
Yeah.
You always know that Chris Berman has those great nicknames.
Right, he'll call him Cruise and Rum or, Carnival Cruise or, who knows.
Yep. I loved Mike. You were in good hands with Mike Allstott. I loved that. Mike Allstott. Oh, it was such a great one. And the stumbling, rumbling, fumbling, bumbling. Oh, man, my childhood with him, he was awesome. He still is awesome, but...
I remember when, and I don't watch it very often, I watched when there was this long touchdown to the guy named Don Beebe. I guess he used to play for the Packers, I think, and he would go beep 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 beep. He's running down the sideline. He just catches you off guard, and you laugh. It's all.
I know he comes up with those. All of a sudden, he's talking about and the pass too, and he goes off on like whoever it is, and gets the nickname in there, and you're just like, oh, he's so cool. He's probably the guy that made me want to do this stuff.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. All right, so I'll let Uncle Mark go first. Just because this might be, even though he probably has never heard of him, well, maybe he has, the best known of the 3 stutter muffins in Darren McFadden.
I got it.
This week, the Oakland Raiders play the New England Patriots. Now, McFadden ran for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Jets defense, which is supposed to be better than the Patriots defense. However, supposedly McFadden also has a minor leg muscle, strain or something. So what do you think, stud or muffin?
I think he's a stud. I'm looking at my stats here, and it looks like he had a 70-yard touchdown run. So that's really 100 yards of grinding it out. But still, I'm looking at his torso picture here. So as a physician, I can judge a lot from that. So I think he's a tough guy. I don't think he's Michael Vick with a deep bruise kind of action wearing a skirt. So I think he's still a stud. I like him.
What about you, Nate?
I think he is a stud too. A, because he can run, and B, because he can catch. I think he's tied for the running back lead for receiving touchdowns. So I think that will help him.
All right, I'm going to go against the grain and say muffin. I think Bill Belichick is going to have one of those coaching games where everyone mystifies about how he did it, where he somehow designed some sort of game plan where he's able to shut down Run DMC Darren McFadden. So I'm going to go against the grain and say muffin.
Okay, rebel.
I am. I gotta mix it up. Gotta change it up.
You live on the edge, man.
I do. do. All right, so last but not least, Rob Gronkowski, tight end for the New England Patriots. Aaron Hernandez, the other tight end for the New England Patriots, very talented. He's out again this week with a knee sprain, so Gronkowski's going to get a lot of targets from Brady, I think. Playing the Raiders. Raiders are a tough defensive team, but I still think Gronkowski's going to do pretty well. Funny thing, Chris Gronkowski, Rob's brother, played for the Cowboys last year as a fullback. He got released, and I don't remember what team picked him up. But I keep waiting for the day that the Gronkowski brothers play on the same team together. That's going to be really cool.
There's 3 of them.
And annoying.
Triplets.
Oh, there's 3 of them? Who's the third?
I don't know, but they were on Sports Nation one day.
Oh, make up a name. I think it's Fred Gronkowski.
No, you know what? It would be something really,
I think it's Rob.
tough to say.
I think it's Rob.
No, Rob's
right.
the tight end.
It'd be Rob, Chris, and Shostakovich Gronkowski.
That's right. It would be. It would be something so. It would be like Lebowski Gronkowski.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna go with stud. The Tom Brady seems to really like those players that are able to work the defense, like more mind than athletic ability. I mean, Wes Welker and Rob Gronkowski, while athletic, don't strike you as like guys that are going to burn you deep or are going to make you look silly with moves in the open field. They're just really solid, heady players. And also it helps out that Gronkowski gets pretty much all of the looks with his 6'6" frame from Brady in the red zone, so he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. So I'm going to say Gronkowski's going to be a stud. Let's see, who went last in the first one? We'll go Uncle Mark.
I think he's going to be a stud. I think he's going to score 2 points for every letter in his last name.
Oh, wow, that would be 20 points.
Wow, that's some good math. You're correct, sir. Oh, look at that. This just in. Zachary, good at sports, good at math. Film at 11.
Anybody out there looking for someone who can do sports and math at the same time?
Right. Look up my resume at Zack Owens at WordPress.
That's right. Zack Owens does math and sports at the same time.
Hey, Zach, you need me to put a link to your resume on the WordPress site?
That would be awesome, yeah.
All right, I'm all over it. Send me the file, man.
All right, we'll do.
Oh, you got the password now. You do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, I can. I will do it myself then.
Whoa,
Thank you.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh. Nate, Stutter Muffin, Gronkowski.
Muffin, Ocho Cinco, 8-5. Goes off for 40 fantasy points this week. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Calling it right here.
Okay.
He's going to be unstoppable this week. Just all his bad games in the last 3 years combined into one great game.
That's a very bold prediction. Like your one that you said the Lions won't be undefeated after this week.
Oh, I get bolder, trust me. I'll get better. I got really good predictions coming.
Whoa. Okay.
All right. So we got ourselves the prediction time game. Or prediction, basically. And I'm going to change it up. Here are the rules for the point system we're going to put in now. You've got we've got 4 games that we'll all pick from. And we'll all pick the same 4 games. And each of those games, if you pick it correctly, you get a point. If you pick it wrong, you get 0 points. The Stone Cold Lock, which is, again, that's the game where you pick a team that is the best bet to win. Gun to your head, if you had to pick a team to win this week, who would it be? If you pick it right, you get a point. If you pick it wrong, you get minus 1 point. And then the upset pick, of course, it's an upset. What else? If you pick that one right, you get 2 points. And if you pick it wrong, you get 0 points. So that way the upset pick and the Stone Cold Lock are worth more points, so that it's actually like an upset pick and it's a Stone Cold Lock and all that stuff. So both Uncle Mark and myself last week went 3-1. Mark picked New Orleans over Houston. I picked Houston. Uncle Mark was correct in that one. The sports dummy beats the sports fan. Chicago versus Green Bay. We both picked Green Bay. We were both correct. Green Bay won. Stone Cold Lock. Uncle Mark picked Baltimore over St. Louis, which was a 37-7 blowout win for the Ravens. And Pittsburgh barely hung on Sunday night over at Indianapolis, which was my Stone Cold Lock. Mark picked the Chiefs over the Chargers for his upset, and that almost came true but did not. And I picked the Bills over the Patriots, which did come true. So we both went 3-1. So here's the question. Nate will get in on this too, of course. Do we give ourselves 3 points to start off, or do we wipe the slate clean and points wise and go from here?
I'll be honest. I'm afraid of Nate, so I think we should give him nothing. He's got to catch up. He's got to catch up 3 points.
All right. So Uncle Mark and myself, we will start with a handicap of 3 points, while Nate starts at 0. All right.
I'm sorry.
There are no holds barred in these competitions between the Owenses and the Olivers.
The O's.
The people whose last name begins with O.
Triple O.
The alphabetical exclusivity continues.
Altogether, we make ooh.
or we make oh. Either way, you skin the cat. So, first game, Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. Both teams are 1-2. Who you got?
Uncle Mark, you can lead us off.
All right.
Panthers.
Ooh. Picking the Panthers.
Well, they beat the Jaguars, so they must be awesome. Plus, it's also the name of the team in the Friday Night Lights series, and I like them too.
Friday Night Lights, best show I've seen on television. It's no longer on television. The series is over. But if you happen to see it, if you have Netflix, if you have it, whatever, Zoo and all that stuff, I implore you, if you are a fan of football, if you are a fan of good TV shows, and I don't mean like, crappy ones, but I mean like actually good TV shows, watch Friday Night Lights, one of the best shows I've ever watched.
It's not really about football, to be honest.
It's not, no. But, as a football fan, I was drawn in, but it was still an excellent series. I mean, all right. But I loved it. But my spiel's over.
And that's our television review segment. If you like that, leave a comment at spewthesnews.wordpress.com.
Maybe we'll turn it into another podcast. Bum bum bum.
I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to take Chicago over the Panthers. Chicago's at home. The Bears aren't a very good team in my eyes, but I still think that they're going to be better than the Panthers, and I'm still waiting for Cam Newton to have one of those rookie games. So I got the Bears.
I want to take the Bears because I think Cam Newton's going to have a rough game. He's going to throw a couple picks against the Bear defense, but I think it's going to go to overtime and a winning field goal. So those people that play spreads, the spread is 6.5. Chicago's giving. I'm taking Chicago in this podcast, but Carolina in the spreads.
Oh.
Bonus pick.
You got to make things all fancy, don't you?
I know. Nate's got the extra juice to it there.
The extra yard.
Yep. All right, so the next game, the battle of the winless teams, the Vikings and the Chiefs, both 0-3. I will pick first. I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs showed heart against the Chargers last week, especially with their lead running back, Jamal Charles, having been lost for the season the week before. They showed a lot of heart and guts. Meanwhile, the Vikings just keep collapsing in the second half of games despite having leads, and I think that the Chiefs get their first victory and keep the Vikings remain winless.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with the Vikings. Vikings are not going to squander a 20-point lead to a team that can't score 20 points, a.k.a. the Chiefs. So I'm going to go with the Vikings.
I'm also going to go with the Vikings. I'm disappointed in the Chiefs last week for screwing up my thing, and now I hate them. So there you go. Minnesota Vikings all the way.
I will bring this up in a week or two if you ever pick the Chiefs again. I'll be like, but you hated them.
You'll forget.
I probably will. And so will you.
That's true.
All right, so we've got ourselves battle of division teams that are in. Well, actually, the Ravens aren't currently in second place. I think they're in first. But 2-1 teams, the Jets at the Ravens. Nate, go ahead.
I picked this game wrong last year. It was the opening Monday night game. I picked the Jets, and I'm not going to do that mistake again. Go Ravens.
Mark?
New York Jets.
Jets, Jets, lose. I got the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, agree with me.
I think the Ravens beat the Jets. I kind of think that the Mark Sanchez is a good quarterback from last week, where he threw for over 300 yards and didn't have more picks than touchdowns. Is a fluke. I can see Mark Sanchez being an above average to solid game manager quarterback in the style of a Trent Dilfer or a Brad Johnson, who both won Super Bowls. But I don't see him being much more than that. I could eat my words. I'm certain that happens often in this.
Who do you think is better, Sanchez or Flacco?
Right now?
Yes.
Flacco.
Really?
Yes.
Sanchez wins, though. Flacco doesn't. Well, they both win, but Sanchez turns it on in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Flacco has the better talent as a quarterback.
It's like a Delaware grad over a USC grad.
Yeah. Oh, heck yes. I've thought that Mark Sanchez is a solid quarterback, but I think he's overrated. Very overrated.
Okay.
I don't think Flacco's, like superstar either, but I think he's actually better. So, let's see how. Oh, yes. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Houston Texans. Texans coming off that, well, not heartbreaking, but tough loss against the Saints at home. Did you see that catch, by the way, but that the Houston Texans receiver made? Either of you?
No.
No, it's the one where it basically played ping pong. The Texans quarterback threw it. It hit Texans receiver in the shoulder as it was kind of knocked away a little bit by the Saints guy defender who then tried to scoop it and catch it and instead kind of lofted it just a little bit into the air. It then hit off of another Saints defender's hip, which directed it right into the waiting hands of a Texans wide receiver who was standing there watching, and it basically hit him in the hands, and he went, "Oh, look what I found," and secured it and ran in for a touchdown.
I didn't see it, sorry.
Oh, it was one of those plays where you're just watching the ball, if it was like a baseball or a basketball or anything round, it would just hit the ground. But as a football, it bounced all over the place, still in the air, and the guy caught it and was able to run it in for the touchdown because, no one was really paying attention until he was like, "Oh, look, the ball," and started sprinting. So,
I made a fantastic catch just today at the bus stop this morning with my son Alex. Nerf football. You wait there for about 5 minutes. We toss it back and forth. He throws it to me high right as the bus is pulling up. I sky up there, get 3 fingers on it, snag it down, but I jump up so high that my phone flies out of my pocket, and I, with my left hand, catch the phone. It was like a double. It was awesome.
Nice. Good. That's hand-eye coordination right there.
Yeah.
That's impressive. What did Alex say?
Apparently, it wasn't good enough to be on ESPN or anything, though.
Oh.
He didn't say anything. He ran and got on the bus. I should have asked him about it when he got up.
He saw that and went, "Oh no!" right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably thought it was going to be an incomplete pass, or your phone was going to break. It was still on him.
He was probably disappointed because he would have thought it would have been funnier to.
Oh yeah, kids like that. Yeah, I would have probably laughed, but then I also would have been like, "Uh-oh."
It comes from watching too much Looney Tunes. They want to see me run off the cliff or whatever.
They do, don't they? I love Bugs Bunny.
Everybody loves
times.
Bugs Bunny.
Good times. So, last game of the 4 that we're going to pick together, the Steelers at Houston. Pittsburgh just barely hanging on against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. Mark, lead us off.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sorry, I can add nothing other than the fact that I think the Steelers are going to win. I know very little other than that. I want the Texans to lose because of in the same thing as the Jaguars. I did watch part of the Steelers Ravens game, which was the first week. They didn't honestly look that good, but still, I think the Steelers over the Texans.
I think the Steelers are going to win as well. I think that the Steelers. I think the Steelers, they're not as good as everyone thinks they are, but they've got that heart and that veteran resolve to win the close games. So their win-loss record's going to reflect that. And I still think that the Texans are learning how to close games and win contested games. They've always kind of had those, what you could call, issues where they'd be 8-6 at the end of the year and then lose their last 2 games when they had a shot to make the playoffs. I think the Texans are still learning how to close games out, and I think the Steelers win this one in a nail-biter.
I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I think the winner will get in the playoffs, the loser will not. So I'm going to have to go with the Texans because I have Andre Johnson on my fantasy team.
See, we all have our allegiances.
And I will hold you to that. One gets in and one does not.
Okay.
He has a long memory. He is the elephant of sports.
I am. Only in the memory department. All right. So Stone Cold Lock. We've got, of course, this is the one again. Gun to our head. You know, who if we had to pick a team, bet on a team, all our life savings to win. Who would we bet on, regardless of odds and stuff? But guaranteed victory. I have probably the easy one. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers over the Denver Broncos.
I need a good website that has the line on these games or the points or whatever, so I have some sort of a clue.
I'm gonna go with the Falcons over the Seahawks.
Falcons over the Seahawks. What am I going to pick? I have no idea. Now, how are you going to pick an upset? Somebody's going to have to check and make sure that they're not picked.
Yes.
You'll tell me if I screw up. Okay.
I will. Yes.
I don't know. Come back to me after we do the other ones.
Okay, we'll go upset first. Nate, you got an upset?
Oh, I got my
Yes,
upset.
sir. This is a pretty big one. Arizona over the New York Giants.
Oh. And I was worried that we'd all picked like similar games or the same games. Cool. So Arizona over the Giants. All right. Mark, you said you had an upset pick?
I do. I want to pick the Jaguars.
The Jaguars over the who are they playing? Oh, they're playing the
They're
Saints.
playing the Saints. Would that be an upset?
Yes.
It would definitely, yes, it would be an upset.
7.5, and Jacksonville's home. So it should
You got the right website up, you little sneak.
Yep.
All right. Well, tell me. Okay, so Nate, tell me some of the ones where there's a dominant team. Give me 3 to choose from so I can pick my lock.
There's the Saints over the Jaguars, but you can't really pick that.
Yeah, I could pick them both. Then I'd be sure to get one right.
There's Green Bay over Denver, spreads 13.5. There's San Diego over Miami, spreads 7.5. And there's Tampa Bay over Indianapolis, spreads 9.5.
Oh, I'll take Tampa Bay over Indianapolis. That way I can stretch it out to Monday night. Monday night games I might actually get to watch.
All right. So for my upset.
So the Stone Cold Lock is that the Tampa Bay Bucks will beat the Indianapolis Colts.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And your upset is the Jaguars over the Saints.
Correct.
So my upset, we'll see how long this lasts, but I'm going to stick with the same team for the upset. But I'm picking who they're playing. I've got the Cincinnati Bengals in an upset over the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Yes. I think that the Bills, again, they're going to be playing at Cincinnati, at Paul Brown Stadium. I think that the Bills coming off that victory over the Patriots are going to be a little, not really too exhausted, but I think they're just going to be a little mentally exhausted. They've probably been hearing a lot about themselves, especially in Buffalo, about how good they could be, and especially going into Cincinnati, which is a 1-2 team. Hasn't been playing particularly well. But Cincinnati is a bit stingier, I think, than people give them the credit for it. I think Cincinnati at home pulls an upset against the Buffalo Bills.
All right.
So that would conclude our Spew the Snews podcast. It is a podcast for Season 1, Episode 2. Let's see. Anything to say?
Yes. Can I say something?
Go right ahead.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Oh. That's a good one.
I don't get it. Is there some sort of underlying meaning?
It's from Anchorman, right?
Yes,
yeah, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Okay. The movie quote.
Yep.
I don't get to see
It's
those.
a pretty good one too.
It's pretty funny.
Pretty good quote.
See, yeah. Let's see. I liked one of the ones I had. This is not the game you are searching for.
I like the idea of ending on a joke, but I don't have a good sports joke.
I don't either. I just let them come to me, and usually they're bad jokes, but I still say them.
I win the joke contest. They're like, oh, cool.
You win the joke contest by proxy that there are no more other jokes to
I wanted to come up with a joke, but it would just be a groaner, so,
You couldn't beat Ron Burgundy, so.
I don't know about that. Burgundy's funny, but...
Oh, okay, I got it. A quick web search. I got the joke, and it's dedicated to you, Nate. What is the difference between Yankee fans and dentists? One roots for the Yanks, and the other Yanks for the roots.
That's a good one. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll come back next week, recap of football, of course. Weekend in football, both a little bit in the NCAA, mostly NFL football. In case you haven't noticed, this is mostly an NFL podcast. We do delve into the other sports. We'll have our Sports for Dummy update for the last week. And we'll probably also mention a little bit more about the baseball playoffs, just about how those have gone so far. Although from what I understand, like scheduling-wise, they will have only played like an inning maybe by the time next week in the playoffs. I know, but even so, it's with the World Series getting pushed farther and further back. But I might bring that up next week.
They could be finished. The series could be finished by next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll have more to talk about. So let's see.
Go Cowboys! Last count.
Yes, go Cowboys, of course. Go Mets. Wait, their season's over.
Go Yankees!
Go Jaguars.
Go Jaguars, baby.
Let's see, what is it? It's spewthesnews.wordpress.com. Visit it, leave a comment, tell us what we need to do to get better, tell us what you like. Leave my mama out of it.
This is episode number 2, recorded September 28th? 9th, 2011, and if it went 40 more minutes, it'd be September 30th.
That's right. I gotta cut this. This went longer, but not as long as I feared it would. So, what about? I'm helping you out here with advertising. What's the other web?
Oh, you want me to
blog?
pimp my other show? I sound like such a podcaster, which doesn't yet exist.
We'll start we have the connection. We'll as one grows, the other shall grow.
It would be another 000 production, but three completely different zeros. Believe it or not, we have more of them. It would be myself, my brother Matt. That would be you guys' uncle, and it'd be my other brother John. I feel like my other brother Daryl. That would be Zach's dad and Nate's uncle. It's it's a real crazy family, and we would talk about. We decided that since we were all sports dummies, we didn't have much to talk about. But then we decided we were all fathers, and there were lots of funny things to talk about being a father. So we would have a Father's Podcast where we tell funny stories about cleaning up poop and teaching our kids how far they can spit and that sort of manly things.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it, I have to say.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
I think it'll be funny. It will be funnier than this show.
We have to decide whether we're going to allow everybody to listen to it because it might be explicit. And I'm not sure I want Nate and Zach, you guys are older, but my kids are younger. I don't know. Are my kids going to listen to it? I haven't decided yet.
Parental guidance is suggested.
Right.
Well, I'm not old enough not to have a curfew, so I'll have to call tonight.
All right. Take care, gentlemen.
All right.
Good fun.
Good night. All right. We'll cut it off here. Thank you for joining us on Spew the Snews. Come back next week for hopefully what will be, again, the continuation of our podcast. Good night, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning whenever you're listening to us. I'm Zack Owens from Mark Owens and Nathan Oliver. See you next time.
See ya.